So you said you grew up like with a Christian background. Did you grow up believing that like heaven existed after you died and hell existed? Or what was your kind of background in believing as far as growing up as a like Christian or Catholic?
Growing up, I was always like a firm believer in God, but I never had like a very like clear understanding of like what heaven and hell entice.
So what are, like you said, you have an understanding of God. Like, what are some characteristics that you would describe God as?
I would say like God is merciful. That's how I was raised. I was raised that like God loves us, so why would like he not want to be with us? So I believe that it's not as easy to get into hell as it may seem, you know? Like, as long as you follow like the standard golden rule, you know, why would God not want to be with his children?
So what do you think someone would have to do to get to heaven?
Try their best to live the life that Jesus or whoever they follow, you know, wanted them to live. Or
so just trying your best, or
just don't hurt people, you know, like like God gave us the 10 commandments to follow as the guidelines, and it's really like basic commandments, and if we can just follow those, they don't necessarily entail being good, but just being kind. And of course there are times when we'll be bad. There's going to be times where we slip up, make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that we're going to go to hell for it.
So Larry, if one of these cars, you know, these people, somebody drinking and driving, was to come over here right now and nail me, you, and Natalie over here, what's going to happen to you?
I'm going to die. If that time comes, I'm going to die.
And then what?
And then the way I've always been taught and what I know is that I will stand before God on Judgment Day.
And what is he going to say?
And I'm prayerfully, the life that I have lived and the way I've treated people and the way I've loved people, I hope he say, well done. I really do. I hope he say that.
So you would say that you're a good person, and so if you stood before God and he said, hey, Larry, why should I let you into my heaven? You would say, because I've been a pretty good guy, God, and I've treated people well.
Yeah, I believe so. I honestly believe that if you treat people well and you live right, and then that you know, do things according to how the scriptures have taught us to do it, you know, and just be yourself, I honestly think that, you know, the Lord will allow me to come in.
I guess like going back to like what it says in the Bible, like I said, if you're guilty of breaking one of the commandments, you're guilty of breaking all of it. So the Bible kind of shows us that we're not good people in this sense, because in order to get into heaven, Jesus says you have to be perfect, but none of us are perfect. Like if you go through the 10 commandments, have you ever lied? I have. I'm sure you guys at some point have. Like ever stolen, like even something like music or something like that. We've all done that. We've all broken the 10 commandments. So based on that, if that's God's standard is perfection, then wouldn't you say we're all guilty before God?
I'm Roman Catholic. I'm Italian, Polish, Roman Catholic from Chicago. So that's my...
From Kansas City.
That's my... Kansas City? That's my religion. Is as I grew up, I am a Roman Catholic.
What do you think it is that Jesus wants from us in order to save us?
In order to save us, is just I believe that if you come to him with what you have, like as a person, oh, I deal with this, or I struggle with this, I go through this, and he sees your heart as genuine, I believe that, you know, that the Lord will see that, and he will honor that.
So if his standard to get into heaven is perfection,
none of us are getting in.
right? So what do you know what God did so we could get into heaven? Because what happens after you die? Like you said, you're Roman Catholic, so do you believe that people go to heaven or hell, or do you what do you believe?
Point of the question.
What do you think happens after?
Personally, I really believe that I personally have had some interesting things happen to me to where I started to look towards like heaven.
Going back, you said the 10 Commandments. So God, he actually judges us by his law. So you said God is merciful. He is. He's also just. So a perfect God, let's say like a perfect God is going to be both loving and just. So for example, if you think of a good judge, if I had murdered somebody and I stood before a judge and I was like, hey, like I know I murdered somebody, but like I've done some good things, like I was trying to be kind. Do you think it would be just of that judge to just like let me go free?
I can't say either.
Tolerance for me, generally, personally, it means these symbols. So, you have all sorts of symbols on here. And you have peace, you have, tolerance can be a wide range of things.
God sent Jesus down to earth. He was fully God and fully man. He lived the perfect life we never could, so he was completely sinless. Like, he never lied, he never stole anything, he didn't break any of the commandments. Then he died to death that we deserve, because it says that the wrath of God resides on us. If we've broken any of the commandments, we're all guilty of sin. So the wrath of God resides on us. But so since like we talked about before, if you're not perfect, then we can't get into heaven. But Jesus was perfect, so that if we put our trust in him alone, we can enter heaven, because his righteousness will be imputed onto us, not of anything that we did or worked our way towards all of his righteousness.
We may have lost loved ones in the past, whether it be family or friends, loved ones in general, and I think that we're all going to experience that. And listen to the great Jim Morrison, because he said in the perspective of no one here gets out alive.
That's right.
So if we can think of the great poet Jim Morrison, the singer of the Doors, that's a very powerful saying, and it's very correct. No one here gets out alive.